We're here in the office of George Jacques, who is the author of The Life and Times of Uncle Sam. And George is just a few miles east of Troy, New York, where you were born and raised. And we're here to talk about Uncle Sam, the real Uncle Sam, who he was, what he meant to Troy, and what you've been doing with the. So let's tell us a little bit about your discovery of the man and what the passion, what brought you to what you're doing, author the book and getting involved with the Uncle Sam
Well,
pavilion.
it all started, when I was in service, I would never say I'm from Troy because it had such a reputation, and I just didn't like I just say north of Albany. But in 2000, I was down there trying to Russell Sage, and I saw the streets so barren. I wondered what I could do to bring Troy back to its glory. And so I thought of Uncle Sam, and I got started on Uncle Sam. And I started with a statue, and then I got a display going, and then made some proposals to try to get Troy interested. Very difficult, but we did get what we call an Uncle Sam tour with all the locations of his businesses and homes, and you can take it this coming spring. And we also have a Uncle Sam Memorial in Pavilion in Prospect Park, which is a beautiful view, and it's going to be really a nice place to visit and will be part of the tour. We also have some proposals where on Ferry Street, I would like to clean the foundation out and rebuild it and make it part of a building.
And that was his home, when he was in Troy?
That was his home as a boy. I was born actually in Green Island and raised in North Troy, and I am a Trojan, true to heart, even though some don't think so. I live in Brunswick now.
I've discovered Uncle Sam. I live in Boston, and I, of course, love history. And I think you have to love history if you. But Arlington is not too far from Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And we take in, my family, we take in the reenactments they do on April 19th, or at least whatever Patriots Day reenactments. And Arlington had a lot of history because it was just a few miles from Lexington, and the British stopped there. And I noticed there was a beautiful statue of Uncle Sam. And I thought, oh, so there was a real person named Uncle Sam. This was about 15 years ago. And then I was up in New Hampshire in the town of Mason, driving through. I was going out to a camp that we use in the area, and I saw this Uncle Sam house, a little historical plaque, and I thought, wow, this is where he lived as a boy. So I got to learn more about this. And then I was up in Concord, New Hampshire, probably this was 2011. We're doing this. It was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago, and I asked what they knew about the house at the bookstore there, the little information at the state capitol. And the nice lady gave me Jean-Pierre's and Cecile Moreau's book. It was quite a picture book, a history book. And I got in touch with them. And that was sort of my involvement in it. And when I visited their house in Mason, I said, and it's only open when they're in the area. And I thought, this is a national treasure. So we're hoping that we can do whatever we can here at Camp Constitution and some of the folks I know to make not just the house in Mason, but also out here in Troy to make it more well known. It's an important part of our history. Well, tell us a little bit about the book, your research, and about Uncle Sam. By the way, it's The Life and Times of Uncle Sam. And I bought a copy of this at I'm pronouncing it right, the Rensselaer History Society right in Troy. And I think you can buy it at other venues. I'm not sure if you can get it on Amazon.
No. That's for you to do.
That's for me to do. Okay, well, stay tuned.
Well, I didn't know anything about Uncle Sam, and when I started, I went to all the locations, and then I did a lot of reading, and I finally came up with, after my wife approved it.
Well, that's it, yes.
And she's my guide to make it right. And I made maps and in places where he was actually gee, can you correct this?
Yeah, well, you got a little guide to Uncle Sam, a little pamphlet,
Yeah.
and it has his where his business was, where he lived, I think the church he attended,
Yeah.
and he spent some time up in Catskill as well.
Oh yeah,
New York.
I went down there in the Catskill, and the building that they stayed in is still down there.
It's right near old Kinderhook's estate. That's
Yeah,
that general area.
And his church in Troy is still there. I went in there. I had to get somebody to let me in. And it just gave me a wonderful feeling. Then knowing John Pierre and sleeping in Uncle Sam's farmhouse.
That was pretty interesting.
It was something because.
Well, for the folks who like to learn more, Uncle Sam was born in what is now Arlington, Massachusetts, and his father was a patriot in the Revolutionary War. Was at Bunker Hill. I believe he was at Bunker Hill. And is that correct?
Yes.
His father was at Bunker Hill.
He was wounded.
And when Paul Revere rode right by Sam Wilson's home,
about 9 years.
He was a young boy, and he actually helped spread the alarm. Not that the British are coming out, but the regulars are coming out because we're all British, you know. They wasn't and he later moved to Mason, New Hampshire, which was about maybe 35, 40 miles from Arlington, maybe 50. And of course, in those days, it was quite rural. That was almost the frontier. Even today, it's a nice little rural town. So the prop you got to look at. Anyway, and he met a lady there. He met his wife, and the man. Her name was her last name was Mann, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Susan Mann, and
Is that right?
He and his brother went to Troy to sort of make their fame and fortune. And
Well, they're looking for opportunities.
And
And
of course,
he and his brother Ebenezer had been to Troy and was impressed with it.
Yeah,
That's
right on the Hudson River, of course,
Yeah.
and that was
Just
considered the
above
gateway to the West in those
Yeah.
days, right? And every 15 years it kept going out. Then Cleveland became the gateway, and then it was Cincinnati was a gateway. But in those days it was Troy or Albany was the gateway to the West. And he didn't propose marriage until he was able to get a job and was able to provide for the wife and children.
8 years,
as
I think.
Was it 8 years? And he got in the meatpacking business.
That was the war of 1812.
He made bricks and whatever things that people did.
He did that when he first came.
He was a devout Christian. It was very much beloved by the neighbors, very generous to people, and that's where he was referred to as Uncle Sam.
Yeah, they used to call him Uncle Sam and Uncle Ed because of the things that they used to help with the people. Yeah.
And I think a lot of neighborhoods today have an Uncle Joe or somebody that maybe has done things to help the community. When my late uncle's wife was known as everyone known her as Aunt Lee. Everybody called her Aunt Lee. She was, oh, you come by, you were hungry, she would feed you. So that was the type of
Not bad.
no, especially she was a good cook too. So anyway, he got in the meatpacking business in the War of 1812. Had a contract with the government.
Yeah,
And
Anderson was his name, and the supply was on the wharf, and somebody asked him what the
U.S. stands for.
UN. Why, that's Uncle Sam.
Right.
You ought to know him. He owns everything around there. He's feeding the U.S. Army.
So that was how Uncle Sam Wilson became the godfather, as you refer. I think he's referred to in a few of the books here as the godfather of America.
Yeah.
And he passed away in 1854.
1850.
And was it? I think there's been some controversy as to who the real Uncle Sam was.
Well, there were several
ersatz Uncle Sams, right?
Different
And they may
locations.
have been people who were patriotic and did their thing, but I think it was in 1961 that there was a resolution by Congress
The trial would be the official
recognizing
Uncle
Uncle Sam Wilson. Our Uncle Sam here in Troy is the official one. And I know that there's a petition that wants to sort of reinstate that. His birthday, I believe, was September 13th.
Well, Ronald Reagan actually made it
a resolution.
official.
And what I think it's important is because it's part of our heritage. And of course,
Oh.
people say, "Oh, Uncle Sam, good, bad, and indifferent. Uncle Sam, I just got taxed by Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is doing this.
Everything's
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
And but a lot of people don't really know who the real man was and the significance of it. So we think it's quite important, and it's part of our heritage and part of our history. And at Camp Constitution, our motto is honoring the past. If we don't honor the past and acknowledge the past, we have not much of a future. So our motto, honoring the past, teaching the present and preparing the future.
Yeah.
And if we don't teach the folks today, not just young people, but people my age and people your age need to know this so we can pass it on to the next generation. And I'm just optimistic that your project, your pavilion, will you'll get the support you need.
And then the building at Ferry Street and the foundation, but RPI it was a contracting, a Saratoga contractor that I think they just want to put a park there, but I want to do a little more. But who the hell am I?
Now, if people want to contact you, say, hey, I want to help with donations or help with donating material or with their hands, what would they? How can they get a hold of you? You have a website?
Yeah, we do. I can't tell you the number right
Let's
now.
see. Is it?
It's in there.
It's okay. Well, if you,
underneath here.
let me see here. If you go to campconstitution.net and contact us, we'll definitely put you in touch. But
Yeah.
let me see here. It's Uncle Sam,
Right.
UncleSamTroy.org. So UncleSamTroy.org is the website.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place where you can leave your contact information. And the book is available, as I mentioned, in a few venues. Give us a call, and we'll be able to get you a copy of the book. It's a delightful book. We'll get you a copy of the pamphlet. And I'm in the process of putting this book up on scribd.com, so I have it on file so people can look at it as well. So the Uncle Sam Memorial Foundation is, this is where you can send donations to help make this, it's 59 113th Street in Troy, and the zip code is 12180. Again, Uncle Sam Memorial Foundation, 59 113th Street, Troy, New York, 12180. And I think you'll be glad you did, and I'm sure you'll be able to get a copy of the book and the pamphlet. And here it is, March of 2011. Camp Constitution will be doing an information table at a homeschool show in Boston, in Worcester, Massachusetts, one of the largest ones in the region. And we have the Uncle Sam cutout of one of the reenactors that we have here, and we're going to be promoting it there and other venues as well. Our camp is actually going to be taking a field trip to the house in Mason.
When's that?
July, be the middle of July.
Maybe I'll be over.
Well, that'd be great. Fred Polnich, the Uncle Sam
Did you
reenactor.
meet him?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam will be there giving a presentation. So, well, thank you for your attention, and it was a pleasure interviewing
It's a
you.
real pleasure.
By the way, this gentleman is a World War II vet, CB, and on the wall here, you want to paint on the wall is some of his
Survivor of Iwo Jimi.
Iwo Jimi, some of his medals there. So.